Welcome back to the Blue Stable Podcast, everyone. My name is Michael Pivia. As always, joined by me is going to be Rashad McGinnis. Welcome back, Rashad. Dustin Adams is here as well. Guys, it has been a week of nothing but rumors, more articles on the Blue Stable website, guys. Make sure you're checking out the articles. A couple of ones to shout out by one of our writers, Ian Kidney. He is giving us a background on new assistant linebacker coach Cato June, former Colts Super Bowl champion Cato June, and Josh Perez, his free agent wish list. Make sure you go check out those articles in the description below. Their link is going to be in the description, as well as all of ours in the description below. Thank you again. Destin, Rashad, how are you guys doing, man?
I mean, it's good to be here with all y'all. I need to comment. What did you say Cato June's name is?
Cato June?
Cato?
No
chance. It is Cato.
Cato.
Where have you been?
Cato. Well, I mean, the famous
Mr. Coach
athletic
June,
reporter Tim Cato. Okay.
Coach June, if you're listening to this, I apologize for this man's behavior. 100% Cato June. Welcome to Indianapolis. We'll get more into that, but super happy to be back. Just wish Michael would know how to pronounce guys' names.
Well,
dude,
what do you expect from Michael? It's Michael. I mean,
my name literally got pronounced as Terizos in front of Frank Reich. Okay.
I'm sure he still tells people about you. You left
does.
a longing. You left a longing impression on him. I'm sure
he probably does.
Man, I'm happy to be back, man. It felt like ages since I recorded. It was just 1 week, but it felt like.
How's the Hollywood life, Rashad? Going to Mobile, going to the Super Bowl.
I was trying
to avoid breaking news on Twitter. Like
I was trying to avoid this conversation. I didn't want to have it. That's why I wasn't here last week. But I actually been back. But nah, man,
wearing a
good,
polo
man.
hat backwards, man. Man's
man.
Hollywood.
Got
out
the
here,
beats
bro.
on, man.
Relax.
Bro
Let's
Hollywood.
everybody just settle down. Settle down. We
got his new apartment
today.
in a penthouse in New Orleans. Like,
I wish I had I need a new apartment. Goddamn selling. Go ahead before I get pissed.
Hey man, I'm telling you, I wish I could have been there for you like 4 months ago. But guys,
I gotta show you the latest update.
I'm dying to see this. Okay. Again, guys, we are the official Colts podcast of Fansided. Shout out Fansided. All right. Guys, there are new updates, and this is going to be an exciting show. We're going to talk about coaching staff updates. We're also going to talk about our own free agents that we are going to put in some tiers. You know, who do we want back? Who should we let walk? Are there other circumstances that we would let or want guys back under some circumstances? So we'll wait to be seen. But we're going to start off with these coaching staff hires. Guys, first, Cato June. Destin, I'll let you start this off since you wanted to stand up for the man, all because he followed us on the Blue Stable Twitter. So so start us off, man. Cato June back in Indy, starting his coaching career. Not starting.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a guy like Cato June back in the locker room, back as a coaching assistant for the linebackers. I think he's a guy that is known just for the intensity and the aggression that you're going to like. I mean, we got a very promising linebacker room. So if we wanted to go and get a young guy just to kind of be a voice in there with them, I think the linebacker room makes a lot of sense with a little bit of an older linebacker coach in Richard Smith. I believe he's like 66, 65 in that realm. So I wouldn't be shocked if he wanted to hang it up in the next couple of years. So maybe Cato June gets a little bit of a chance later on to be the linebacker coach down the road. Who knows? But it is good to have a former Colt back in the horseshoe as a coach for sure. It's always cool to see him on the sidelines.
Ha ha ha. I have my mic muted. I'm sorry. Excited about Cato June, man. I'm excited. But like I've heard numerous people say he was Darius Leonard kind of before Darius Leonard. You know, he was a playmaking linebacker, real active guy. Played really well in coverage, played well against the run. Had a great, I believe it was 4-year run here. He was outstanding in coverage. Like I said earlier, I believe he had 5 interceptions one season as a linebacker. I think he'll be able to show Bobby Okereke, I'm sorry, since we're pronouncing last names right, today on this episode. Bobby Okereke can learn a lot from this guy. Darius Leonard, I believe, is going to be even more active. And plus, I think the system that Gus Bradley is going to put in is going to allow Darius to do a lot of different things that he may not be accustomed to doing. But stepping outside of your comfort zone is always good. I think that'll do better to broaden his skill set and highlight some things that he really does well that he haven't had a chance to show yet.
I like it. Cato June back in Indy. The next one is actually a pretty interesting one. Former Pittsburgh great Mike Mitchell back in Indy. The last time he played in the NFL was 2018 with the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, they were having those injury bugs with Malik Hooker, but he was here, helped orchestrate, the playoff run that we had when we lost in the second round to Kansas City. But Mike Mitchell is getting his coaching career started, and I really like it. It's a guy who's been here before. He knows the organization, knows Coach Reich, and he's going to be a player's coach. He's fresh mind, fresh approach, a new approach. I'm curious to see what that's going to look like as an assistant. So, Rashad, I'm going to start with you. We're going to do a little ping pong here. Mike Mitchell, how do you think?
I love to see it, man. Mike Mitchell, he was a guy that's pretty much had that role even as a player. He was looked at by his peers as a mentor. He was the veteran. He was the guy that taught them professionalism, how to take care of your body. We have heard several guys come out and talk about the mentorship that he did. I remember Quincy Wilson spoke highly of him during his time. I know some of y'all don't like that name and probably didn't want to hear his name mentioned, but Malik Hooker had a close relationship with this guy. He's always been pretty much the assistant DB's coach, even as a player. So I think it's only natural that once this guy decided to hang up the cleats and take that next step into coaching, that he start pretty much where he left off as a player.
Quincy, I don't want to cover grass, Wilson on the podcast today making an appearance. But, Mike Mitchell, like you said, the end of his career here. We forgot to mention the Defensive Player of the Week, Mike Mitchell, that season. It was a fun season. He was a guy that I hated watching when we played the Steelers all those years. I don't know if you guys remember, but he used to light TY up, man. I remember 2 hits where I just thought they were the dirtiest things ever, just lighting TY up. And then he comes to Indy, and I think he may have became one of my favorite players to watch that year. Just all over the field, just a ton of fun to watch, a guy who just laid it all out there. And had a really good season. He ended up not getting brought back. He was a little bit older. Like Rashad said, we had multiple of the guys on this DB room just speak about him. Rocky Sin had a lot of good things to say about him that year. And the cool thing is, a lot of those guys are still here. Kenny Moore is still here. Rock's still here. There's other vets probably going to get brought in, but just having that other voice there as well as the new DB coach was just another guy who's on the older realm of things. I think he's even older than Richard Smith, if I had to guess. He's been around the league forever. So having another young guy just kind of being able to get mentored by that level of a coach is just going to be great for him and possibly great for the Colts down the line. Who knows?
The Colts now, the news actually just broke like 20 minutes before we started recording this. New defensive line coach, Nate Ollie. Ball State product. If you look him up, you're probably going to find a picture that maybe you probably think he got hired at Best Buy, because that's literally what he looks like to me. Very, very young coach. Honestly, I don't know how old he is. He is pretty young. I would have to guess maybe like between 29, 32 years old. Spent time at Eastern Kentucky as an assistant coach, spent time in Philadelphia, most recently with the Jets as an assistant. This is going to be his first job it's his own room. He is the defensive line coach. I don't know too much about his coaching philosophy, his coaching approach. How much of a player's coach is he? Is he great at relationships? Is he great at developing? I don't know. He's been at Philadelphia. They've got talent there. They had Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. They had Derek Barnett. They had Josh Sweat. They had these guys, but it's like if you're trying to develop this talent, you got some talent on the defensive line. Your pass rush needs to be important. Kind of seems underwhelming, but almost a little bit, confirms the reports that we've been hearing about, striking out on previous guys that they wanted, not naming names, but I don't know why you don't pay the freaking man that just won. They just didn't do any of that. But Nate Ollie is in Indianapolis now. Destin, I'm going to start with you. Young guy getting into the room, probably like, a year or two older than DeForest Buckner. It's going to be a weird, interesting approach, but of course we're all rooting for him.
Definitely a younger guy, a guy who's getting his first stint as a defensive line coach in the NFL. I mean, he's worked with some productive defensive lines. Like, don't get me wrong. He's a guy that has worked with. He's a guy that coaches that he's worked with has even given him some high praise. Just to give a quote here from back then when he was the defensive line coach, his only other defensive line actual coaching position, not as an assistant, was at Eastern Kentucky University. The head coach there, Mark Elber, had this to say about Ollie. He said, Coach Ollie is a very good technician who builds great relationships with players. He has tremendous energy and gets the defensive line playing physical and with an outstanding effort. Now, a few things stick out to me there. I think some of the areas that the Colts defensive line struggled this last year are in that quote. I think we saw some really passive pass rush reps this past year. We didn't see that aggressiveness. We didn't see that effort, that energy. Ollie apparently has that ability to do that, so I'm interested to see that for sure. The good technician part, that usually translates to a guy that's able to help some guys with their pass rush moves. He's a former defensive lineman himself, back when he was in college. So I mean, he knows the spot. Not the sexy hire we wanted. I mean, like, if we're gonna be honest, like, I'm willing to give him a chance. Younger guy. I'm never anti giving a guy the first chance at a job because it does work out sometimes, and it's a great bargain when you can get a great coach if it's his first stint. Problem is, doesn't always work out. And I felt like this hire needed to be a home run. It did. And I mean, as Michael has reported on Twitter, as other people have reported on Twitter as well, the Colts seem to not be willing to match some contracts of the guys they wanted at the defensive line coach first. So was Nate Ollie their first choice? No, we know that. This hire screams not my first choice. But only time will tell if it's a good or bad hire. Like, I'm not a person that's going to be able to like grade. Like, I don't like doing grades on staff positions, especially before anything happens. Like, who am I to say it's a bad hire? I really don't know. I mean, it's not the guy I would have wanted. He wouldn't have made the top 10 of a list I would have made. Probably wouldn't have made the top 100. I'll be honest. Because I don't know if his name would have just came to my mind at all. I would have went through relationships. But hey, he's from Ball State, Indiana roots. Chirp, chirp, Ball State. If you're listening, anybody from Ball State, we got an alumni on the staff, and maybe it'll work out. I have no idea. I mean, this is not the guy I would have hired for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm not about to get up here and even pretend to know anything about this guy. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm the first to admit when I need to go do some research and do some digging. I read background info, saw a couple of quotes and everything, just like Dustin said. So how I feel about the hire, I do think the coach swung and missed. Well, it's two people I know for sure that they swung and missed on, that I don't even know if I'm allowed to say. And maybe I'll tweet it out in the next week or so if I get some confirmation from somebody that it's all right. But it's two people I know for sure that they swung and missed on that were veteran coaches that have proven resumes and have accolades and have done things in the NFL, but they just couldn't close the deal for one reason or another. And as far as Nate Ollie goes, it's not really much. I've seen the places he's been, has had decent production. I mean, I don't know how much to credit him for that, because it's kind of funny. And I'll use my brother for example. When he was the assistant D-line coach with the Chargers, he never got credited for Joey Bosa getting double-digit sacks. Melvin Ingram getting double-digit sacks. So I can't really say that those 8.5 sacks Brandon Graham had is attributed to Nate Ollie. You know, I can't really do that. I don't know how much of an influence he had on those players. But from the background info that I did receive, they say that he's a technician and he specializes in technicians. And if he's a young coach, maybe he's a type of coach that can relate to these players. You know, they should have a lot of similar interests, a lot of things in common. Maybe he's the guy that can connect, because with an older staff like we had, I believe me, Dustin, and Mike said we wanted to see some new blood, some younger guys with coaching positions on the staff, because you just need somebody that's relatable sometimes. And I don't know if defensive line was the position to do it, but that's looked like the direction we're headed in. And hopefully, man, he can come in and provide this defensive line with some energy. You know, that's one thing it seems like this crew is missing. Just doesn't really have any juice. You know, nobody that's firing him up. Brian Baker was a great guy, but he just didn't give him that spark. And hopefully somebody young can, with some fresh rejuvenation and some energy. And I know one thing: when you're young like that, you're gonna work your ass off. I do know that. So.
And he's seeing, I mean, Colts Twitter is already upset about it. There's already things being said. Those kind of guys, I'm sure he has a Twitter somewhere. He's a younger guy. I could be wrong. There's some guys that stay off social media like that. But, I mean, he's a younger guy. He's going to see all these people saying that he's a reach and that he's not a good hire. All these people that are going to point out that this was not the Colts' first choice. And I'm sure he knows that. And that could drive him. It really could. It could make this guy work harder, work with a fire, like Rashad's saying. I mean, again, I don't know what to say. I'm just trying to talk myself into it. I'm trying to talk myself into it on the podcast for you guys. I am. I'm trying here, guys. I'm trying.
And this is raw. Our reaction. It just happened 30 minutes ago.
Yeah,
so
that's why we didn't have a chance to process anything.
Right. This feels like they struck out on 10 guys and just said, not going to drop the F-bomb, but screw it. Give me 10 names and we'll just draw a name out the hat and call them and just, hey, you got the job. That's what it feels like to me. I mean,
Come on now, give the man a little credit. I can't imagine.
Hey, I'm gonna root for him when we go to training camp. I'm gonna ask to speak to him. I'm gonna, try and get a quote when we get to training camp. Blue Stable high rolling into Anderson. Westfield. There you go. No, Anderson University. That was from 2012. Yeah, we're gonna be doing that. But hey, all this does is just put even more of a need on signing a pass rusher in free agency. That's all it does for this. So, Destin, Hassan Reddick season.
Hey, it should have been last year too, but
it's begun again. But
it's begun again.
I will not say that I don't want him ever. Do I think they go out and sign him now? I doubt it. I think last year made the most sense for a Ballard type contract because it would have been a cheaper deal than this year.
But it would have been a 1 year, though. I mean, his agent did the right thing, making it a 1 year deal.
He ended up taking the 1 year deal. He ended up doing the 1 year deal because I think his market didn't get where he wanted it last year. But I think his goal going into free agency was to get a multi-deal, not as the top paid guy, but as a first-time pass rusher last year. I mean, he was just trying to see what he could get, and it didn't end up there. He ended up taking a discount just to go to Carolina and play for his college coach from Temple. So we'll see. I mean, I would love him. I've been very open about Hassan Reddick, man. Last year he was my free agency crush. But I saw the report from Schefter saying he signed with the Panthers. I had to go through a few tubs of cookie dough and put the sweats on.
Cookie dough, man. That was some real life depression right there.
It wasn't my fondest moment, man.
Hey, man, I will say, I think he got signed 2 weeks into free agency, right?
It took a while.
It took a little while. So I can't imagine he would want to go back to Carolina. Matt Rule's receiving some heat, maybe not being the coach that they envisioned him being, obviously. I mean, he had, very minimal success at Baylor. So, but other than that, guys, that's going to be that's it for this segment for the coaches. Now, guys, we're getting into some interesting stuff. Okay. Now, real quick, I got a question for each of you guys. All right. as far as assistants for Nate Ollie, do you give Robert Mathis the call?
I mean, I thought about it a lot. Even we talked about it a little bit before we started the show. I mean, they're adding these former player assistants. I feel like this is screaming that they want more relatability to the players. They have an older staff again with the DB coach, the linebacker coach, not the defensive line coach now. But they have an older staff for the most part. So I mean, these players being attached to them makes a lot of sense to just have that more relatability to the players. Robert Mathis was here for a little while already. He'd be older than the defensive line coach already. I mean, I would love to see Mathis get another shot in the NFL if that's something he wants. I know he runs his own like pass rushing camp. So, I mean, he may be enjoying doing that himself and just kind of grooming players that way. I know he works with multiple young Colts. So if I had to guess, no, he does not end up doing it.
Rashad?
I just don't know how well he would receive, working under a guy that he's younger. I mean, he's older than, pardon me. And we know he has his own personal relationship with these guys, defensive linemen. So I think he kind of feel like these guys can come to him on their own and they don't have to work through a coach capacity. They have personal relationships. So it probably feel like it's unnecessary for me to actually go there in an official capacity when I pretty much work with these guys and talk to these guys whenever I want to. So as long as he already has pretty much unlimited access to these guys and can get in their ear and share his knowledge and give them information as he's seeing it from the sideline, I think he probably won't be interested in being an assistant. Not right now, at least.
Yeah, not right now. He's on his way to going to the Hall of Fame very soon. I almost find it almost a little bit professionally disrespectful to put him as an assistant under Nate Ollie just because of who he is. He's going to be coming back to where his career was made. Just seems a little bit, don't even try it. But real quick, the wide receiver coach position is still yet to be filled. Again, this is another one where you're just left scratching your head. It doesn't seem like this is a position that's in high demand at all. I mean, we sat here last time and talked about possible candidates. I threw out a couple of names that aren't realistic. Threw out one that I really thought made a lot of sense, Brian Hartline, but I think if the Colts aren't open to, getting aggressive to get a guy like Brian Hartline, I just see him staying at Ohio State. Pretty sure he's probably going to get more money to get an extension, more money anyway. Use the Colts as leverage. But Destin, any names that you would probably like to see or maybe heard or anything like that when it comes to this wide receiver position? Because, man, we need it.
I mean, I think my favorite under the radar guy was Brian Hartline that you brought up originally on the podcast. And I have known a lot about him as a coach. And I feel like the only thing that could kind of get him away from Ohio State, like you're saying, he's probably going to get paid more there. The only thing that could get him is if he just really wants to make the jump to the NFL and wants to take that next jump. Now, it'd be a risky room to make your first job in the NFL. This is not going to be the receiving room when the opening day next year starts. I just don't believe it. They're going to draft a guy, if I had to guess. Ballard's drafted a receiver every single season, so he's going to draft a guy. He's drafted a guy every single season. I think a free agent's going to get brought in as well. We'll see how many of these guys they let walk. We'll kind of talk about that in a second. I don't find this job very attractive if I was a coach. I just don't know if I would want to come be the receiver, which is why we saw Mike Groh make a lateral move to the Giants, leaving this role, because I just don't think it was a good spot. Now, they could fix that. They could go get some guys in the receiver room to improve it, but I feel like we're going to see a very similar situation to the Nathan Ollie situation where we end up hiring a guy who isn't going to be the sexy hire, maybe giving the guy his first shot that we see a lot of characteristics we like in him, but you're not going to poach a big-name receiver coach with this receiver room. You're just not.
Yeah, because, an aspect of it that we're not even thinking about either is you don't even know who the quarterback is going to be here. That's another thing to take into consideration, which could have been a reason Groh left too. Once he saw the writing was on the wall with Carson Wentz, maybe he's like, well, let me just get out of this situation because this is about to get ugly. So that's something that don't get spoken about. The receivers that's in the receiving room is the most important. But right after that, who's getting these guys the ball? So until that situation get figured out on the offensive end, you can't expect any real offensive coaches to want to come in here. I mean, besides the offensive line coach with the offensive line that we have. But, when you have a quarterback that's not going to be on the roster in a month, like, you don't know what direction this team is going in. It's pretty chaotic right now behind those walls. And until we start to see some clarity and they paint a proper vision for us to see, then I don't think anybody's going to be anybody with an established resume. There's always going to be people that's going to want to jump at the opportunity to come coach in the NFL. It's a lot of people's dreams. So you'll always be able to land someone, but just not the one if you don't have a vision for what you're trying to accomplish.
One name that I find interesting, and if honestly, I'm kind of convinced, not because of anything I've heard, or this is just my assumption, my opinion, my thinking. I think they should go college. They should look at college to see who wants to fill this room, because of course it'll probably be a promotion depending on what the money's going to be. Someone who wants to make the jump to the NFL. Another name that I kind of thought of was USC wide receiver coach Kerry Colbert. He did coach Michael Pittman in his senior year. He's coached Amon-Ra St. Brown, who really took off for the Detroit Lions. He's coached Tyler Vaughns, who is on the Colts practice squad. He's developed some talent. Obviously, Drake London coming out of USC for the draft this year. He's developed some really nice young players. I imagine he may have gotten a pretty good pay raise once Lincoln Riley kept him on staff, because he was one of the assistants that he wanted. I would definitely give him a call, a guy who, coming from maybe a blue blood program, you want to make the jump, got your former guy in Michael Pittman here. Do you want to come back and coach him? I would definitely give him the call.
I like Kerry Colbert. I'm a diehard USC fan, as all of you probably know by now. So I've actually had a chance to meet him. I believe it was 2 times. Once at the Pro Bowl in 2018. Ironically, the last NFL game that Andrew Luck played. Cue the violins and cue all the sad.
You really had to go there.
I know. But yeah, great guy. Got a chance to talk to him. Absolute outstanding knowledge of the game. And I never thought about him filling that role, because I don't know. I'm not sure if he wants to coach in the NFL, but I know he was pretty good, pretty solid player in the NFL. I think played in Carolina for a couple of years. He's a great guy. I didn't think about that, Michael. You put that on my mind, and that's interesting. I'm gonna try to reach out and text him, and hopefully I get a response. I haven't talked to him in a really long time though, so we'll see.
So if that hire happens, it was all Rashad. Everybody, Rashad.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't even get any credit
for giving me the idea.
Are you texting him?
Right.
No, not that. Just for the fact that I brought him up on the show.
I mean, you get the assist, I guess.
If it
makes you feel better.
If it wasn't my idea, Rashad wouldn't have gotten the idea to text him.
That's a good pass.
All right.
It's a good pass. You put the ball right here. Okay.
I'm just trying to, I guess you could say, not necessarily use common sense, but if these rumors, I don't really think they're rumors, but if these stories that are, surfacing a little bit true about these assistants and everything, I would say just go look at college. Go look at guys who are trying to make the jump. So
I got it, guys. I got the receiver coach.
Here we go.
That's going to win the Colts the Super Bowl. This hire is going to do it, okay?
Chester Rogers.
The Colts are going to hire James Jones, former Green Bay Packer receiver and analyst, to be the receiver coach. You know who James Jones is really close friends with? Who Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show claimed to be his favorite person in the sports media? Aaron Rodgers, James Jones, one of his close friends. You know who James Jones played with in Green Bay in the same receiver room?
Brett Favre?
Mr. Davante Adams, soon to be free agent Davante Adams.
Soon to be franchise tag.
Do I know if James Jones could coach a receiver room? No freaking clue. Do I care? No.
That's interesting.
You're welcome, everybody, for the Super Bowl next year. You're welcome.
James Jones, yes. Let's get a guy who we have no idea knows how to coach the position. Definitely played at a high level. Want to give him respect there.
Michael, I would hire you at the receiver coach if it meant I had Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams next year.
Boy, let's go. Come on. You don't even need to give me six figures. Give me $90,000 a year. Boy,
my son is 4 months old. If they want him to coach the receiver room next year for free because they don't have enough money to pay the receiver coach after they get Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, I'll do it.
Bro. All I know, you already put it in my head. Colts, call me right now. You just pay me $90,000. $90,000, no incentive, no, not even a signing bonus, nothing. You don't even have to. I won't even, whatever the case may be. Just pay me that right there, and I promise you, Michael Pittman is about to have a downgrade year, but I'll still be able to coach him. But the receivers are going to be tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to have great hand usage in the blocking. They're going to know how to high point the football in the air. That way you don't get out jumped by freaking Antoine Winfield, 5'10" safety.
So, Rashad, your thoughts on James Jones?
Crickets. That's what it is. Crickets.
Rashad has left the building, everybody.
He's left the building.
I think I blew his mind. I think it was a mind blown moment for Rashad. I think he was like, oh my gosh, Destin just prompted the receiver coach for the Indianapolis Colts this next season. He found the guy. And I understand Rashad. I understand being in awe.
Are y'all really going to let Dustin say this? Can Dustin just come up here and say anything?
I guess so, dude. Like, Jesus.
Rashad, you're telling me right now, if James Jones becoming the receiver coach gets you Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, you don't do it?
Can I get that in writing?
Yes.
Right. I need that in writing.
We
can hire him we can hire him after. We can wait. We'll give him a little slip that says, hey, you're the receiver coach. If
you're the receiver coach, so you hire
the direct deposit don't work like that.
You don't get the money yet.
You hire the man. You make the announcement 3 weeks before the new league year starts, and if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, we have released wide receiver coach James Jones.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why the contract doesn't go into effect until Aaron Rodgers is a Colt.
Oh my Jesus!
Justin's really thought this out too.
I'm telling you,
he's thought. You can tell he spent some time on this, man. You can tell.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The thought came to my head while we were talking about the receiver coach. Had never thought about it before, but then it just all clicked, and I won the Colts Super Bowl. So congratulations, everybody.
Yeah, I think we'll just stick with Kerry Colbert. How about that? I think we'll just stick with him, Brian Hartline. I think we'll just stick with those names. All right, guys, we got to get into our own players that are still playing that can possibly come back to the Colts. We're going to talk about our free agents. That's right. It's time to talk about these we're talk about these guys. All right, guys, we're going to go and we're going to put them in some tiers. We're going to start by tier. Each guy is going to give their own. It's going to be, let me see here, guys. Look at me being unprepared, being so unprofessional, making y'all wait while y'all are sitting there watching, probably eating your Takis and drinking your orange Fanta soda. We're gonna put them into what's up?
You found it? I was about to take over until you found what you were looking for.
We're gonna have the tiers as let walk, keep, meaning if something goes on, we'll keep them, and then absolute keep. All right. So actually, let's start with the absolute keep. All right. We got a few names on here. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna start one by one. All right. And the first name is gonna be Eric Fisher. All right. I am gonna start with Rashad. Now, I will say to start this off, do not piss me off in the segment. Okay. This is y'all. You guys are the draft gurus. Y'all have been spending your time on draft stuff. If I was to debate draft with you right now, I would get creamed, smoked, and thrown on the grill and cooked. So I have been doing nothing but free agency, Colts, all this stuff lately. That's why I'm putting out articles like I did today. Go check it out, okay? Taylor Heineke season. So, guys, Rashad, I want to start with you. Eric Fisher, do not piss me off.
Well, I just want to start off by saying you're always going to get cooked by me if we're talking about draft stuff because that's what I do. So, okay, but seriously, moving on. Seriously, Eric Fisher is a keep if. Okay, he's not a flat out keep. He's not a just let walk. He's a keep if. The if being, if it's a situation where you can't upgrade because the offensive line, I'm moving along on this train of thinking too. A lot of money is tied up into the offensive line, and due to the season that Fisher just had, he's not going to command much money on the open market, in my opinion. I know Over the Cap has him at 3 years, $16 million per. Like, are you? Yeah, no.
He wears more than like a 3 month.
If Eric Fisher's contract is that, his agent deserves an award.
But yeah,
we should hire him as a GM if that's the case.
Absolutely.
Does he want to be the receiver coach?
Whoa.
That's his, and his receiver coach is going to hell. So, okay. Eric Fisher, I don't want to tie much money into it. So we're not going to go out there and sign a Teron Armstead. There's a debate right now about is Quentin Nelson worth the $20 million that he's about to receive. There's a lot of money tied in. I know Glewinsky, another guy who's, we're going to talk about. He is finally coming off the books. It's just not a reliable thing to go and spend more money at this left tackle position. So if you're not going to get a guy in the second round of the draft that's going to come in and start immediately, who knows if there's even a guy capable left on the draft board that's going to be able to start immediately. I think Eric Fisher will be back in that situation. And right now, hearing Ballard's last interview where he said he think Eric Fisher has a lot of good football left in him. However, he determines a lot. I don't know if that's one more year, 3 more years. I don't know what the case may be. It's safe to say that I think he'll be back. And I think you keep him in a situation where you can't clearly upgrade. Now, if one of your top tackles fall in the draft and ends up landing to you in the second round, then, you do what you got to do. You take that guy and then you let Fisher go on about his business. But that's the scenario I keep him in.
Yeah, I'm letting him walk. For me, I would rather, I agree in the realm that I want to draft a tackle. I don't think going big money into Armstead, who I think is a very good tackle. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying a team that signs him is going to regret signing him to whatever contract he gets. He's a stud. Armstead, that is. I just don't think it makes sense for the Colts, who are about to put a lot of money into Quentin Nelson. Already have Ryan Kelly at the big money. Braden Smith just got paid. To go big at left tackle like that, I think a rookie makes the most sense as well. I wouldn't be shocked if they try to find a way to do one of those cheap trade into round 1 to get that 5th-year option on a left tackle either. Just because history says trading into those 29 to 32 in that into the draft area doesn't normally cost you a lot. So I think the rookie makes the most sense. And I would let Matt Pryor play if you don't think a rookie's ready. Over bringing Fisher back. Pryor's going to be here. Pryor proved that he was good enough, in my opinion. Bring him back. Let him run it. If you need a guy to play until the rookie's ready, I just don't think Eric Fisher needs to be back. I don't need to watch Aaron Rodgers get sacked like that.
I would literally pay a realtor just to convince him to live somewhere else. Like, get the hell out of Indianapolis, dude. Like, I went back.
You think he had a house? No chance. No chance, dude. He bought a house here.
No, because if I was a realtor, I wouldn't even sell him a house, dude. Like, I know you're not going to be here long, so might as well just tell you, hey, just go down to the freaking apartment or a hotel and just live there for 4 months. Yeah, I'm letting him walk. It's not a keep if or anything. And I definitely get what Rashad's saying. The tackle market could swipe up, and who knows, this draft can go crazy on left tackles. A couple second-round projected guys could go late first. You never know. So all I know, I'm letting him walk, and I am trading up and getting Trevor Penning in the draft because that dude is a freaking monster, and Penning and Nelson side by side is going to destroy the left side of defensive lines, and I'm going to be here all for it. And I love the fact that Destin did say that, could they possibly sneak into the first round depending on if something happens with Carson Wentz, what kind of pick you get? Could they get one of the tackles? Now, I'm not sure if Penning is even going to slide past 20 because that's just how talented he is. But he's easily my favorite tackle. My other realistic tackle is Rasheed Walker from Penn State, another one. We'll get into all draft talk, anything, but later on. But Eric Fisher, yes, let walk. I'm not even doing a 3-month deal, a 4-month deal, a 5-month deal. No, let walk. I've seen enough. Yada. Next up is going to be T.Y. Hilton, guys. Not gonna lie, I think we might be talking with our heart more than our head, or maybe our head and our heart, because we've let it sink in. Dang it, man. I hate to start it off like this, but I'll let him walk. I'll let him walk. Well, actually, no. Keep if. I'll change it to keep if. Okay, keep if.
This is the heart. This is the heart, Michael. We just said.
I don't. Never mind. I'm letting him walk. The money he could demand. We all remember last year he wanted a certain amount. Ballard didn't want to do it. Jim Irsay intervened and gave him that contract. Missed quite a few games. Not productive whatsoever. Did not help Michael Pittman whatsoever. You just saw a lot of problems with him. You know, the speed wasn't there. The separation wasn't there. The route running wasn't there. It's not the same. Production wise, I'll say just let him walk. We can talk about leadership. We can talk about being an important voice, but he's a guy you expect to be your number 2, number 3, and he just didn't perform that way in 2021. So I will start it off by saying letting him walk.
So I'll keep if he wants to be the receiver coach. I mean, I'm going to change let walk to let retire. Ty just needs to do what's best for this man. First and foremost, I don't want to see this man in a different uniform. So maybe it's just a selfish thing. But I mean, I don't think it makes sense to let him come back and be a Colt in this receiver room next year. So I'm gonna let him retire.
I just spit my damn apple juice out. This man said let retire.
I don't think that was an option. I don't think that was one of the 3.
We didn't say 4? Oh, might be.
No.
It
was just 3. Oh my God.
I told him I gave him keep if for 1.
I'm gonna say we should definitely keep letting him walk right out of the door. No disrespect. I love T.Y., man. T.Y. is a historic Colt. You know, he's one of the best wide receivers to ever put on the horseshoe, man. I have tremendous respect for that man. The things he did for that city of Indianapolis, I'm sure Dustin could tell you all about it. You know, that guy was a model teammate, was a role model for all of the youth in Indianapolis. And he was the one guy that stayed. You know, when everybody left, he stayed. He remained. He watched people come and go, but he was the constant. But it's clear that his best days are gone. T.Y., you know, the best thing about T.Y. game, he always created separation. He never was a crisp route runner or anything like that, but he was so unorthodox and the way he uses his speed in and out of his breaks, you know, it's gone, man. Like, it's just gone. Everything's tough for him nowadays. Everything's contested nowadays. And he's not that type of receiver at all. So once we saw him lose a step, it was pretty obvious that this was always going to be the drop-off for him. Much respect to that man. He's had a great career. He should be in the Ring of Honor one day as a Colt. Absolutely legendary guy. I wouldn't like to see him in
13. Do they retire 13?
No,
absolutely not.
I don't think they do either. Now, no. but I'm pretty.
If he brought a Super Bowl, maybe. But
that's. I mean, it's a receiver. How many receivers bring a Super Bowl? But
Cooper Kupp brought LA a Super Bowl.
I mean, he was there. He was there the year before, and I wonder who was added this year. We don't got to talk about it. But
he was there 3 years before.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't it 3 or 4?
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I love Ty, but I'm pretty strict when it comes to the retired jersey thing. And I also think if a good enough player comes along and they want to wear a certain jersey, I don't give a crap. That's just who I am.
Hint, hint.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, there are people that have said that if Aaron Rodgers were to become a Colt this year, that if he wanted the number 12, they wouldn't let him wear it. That's ridiculous. Now, the next thing that's going to come out of my mouth is going to be ridiculous as well. If Aaron Rodgers came into town, walked in those doors with his luscious locks,
don't do it. Don't do it. I know what you're about to say. Do not, Dustin. Don't do it. Don't.
You know what? You know what, Destin? I'll be a Colt.
Don't do it.
If I can wear that 18. You know what I'm doing? Do you know what I'm doing? I'm going to the back. I'm hitting the press. I'm pressing that 18.
Whoa.
With Rodgers on the jersey, and I'm handing it to him, and then I'm calling Peyton Manning. Calling Peyton. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Peyton, you know all that time you spend in Denver? And then I hang up on him, and then he'll find out opening day when Aaron Rodgers walks out in the 18. That's what I would do if Aaron Rodgers asked for the 18, and I said it.
So you mean to tell me Jim Irsay is going to call Peyton Manning and say, you remember that time in Denver? Hang up, and then Peyton Manning's going to call him back. You remember that time you gave up on me and pushed me out the door to go draft another quarterback?
I said I would do this. Jim doesn't have to do it. I'm not going to make Jim do that.
No. I'm going to say this right now. If Jim Irsay allows Aaron Rodgers to wear number 18, there's going to be a riot in Indianapolis. 12, I can give you. 12, he can have. But
so you're telling me right now.
Built Indianapolis. It made Peyton Manning, who built Lucas Oil, brought a Super Bowl, made Indianapolis relevant for a decade.
Number retirements are I understand them. I think it's very cool. I do think no one should wear 18 to an extent. But you're telling me if Aaron Rodgers walks in that door and says, I'll be your quarterback this year, but I have to wear 18, you're telling him to turn around and walk out the door? Liar. You are a liar if you say that.
Damn it, you know me well, but at the same time, you're like, I'm conflicted.
Do you really want a quarterback though that's so much of a diva? He's only going to be your quarterback if he gets 18.
I'll say this. Right. Did you watch How I Met Your Mother, Rashad?
You don't know my mother. Stop talking about my mother.
Okay, my bad. So the show How I Met Your Mother, Barney talks about a crazy hot scale for women. If they're this crazy, they have to be this hot for a woman. For me, with a quarterback, if you're going to be this crazy or this emotional or this divalicious, you need to be you need to be this talented.
Dustin is on one, man.
And for me, Aaron Rodgers, would I classify him in the divalicious category? 100,000%. Is that man talented enough for me to deal with it? 100%. 7 days a week. 365 days a year.
Okay, so Destin, we're gonna get back to our free agents, guys. Trust me on this, but we need to address this blasphemous shit coming out of
wants his wide receiver coach to be delicious.
So
just saying.
So you mean to tell me? I literally lost my. I just lost my thought.
Come on, man. We got to get back on time.
We got it. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get back to it. This man literally said, okay.
Divalicious. Wow.
I literally just lost my thought.
That's the thing. Aaron Rodgers is divalicious. I'm going to tweet that.
Divalicious. Oh, okay. All right, guys. Next up is gonna be Mark Glewinsky, the right guard of the Colts for the last 4 years. 4 years. All right. He came to the Colts in 2018, really kind of came out of nowhere. Was a depth piece at first. Obviously, the injuries happened. He stepped in, and that's also the year Braden Smith decided to play right tackle. So after 2018, received another contract from the Colts, 3 years, $18 million. I'm going to say put him under keep if. And I'm going to say, sorry if you heard that. Keep if you don't retain Chris Reed. I'll say that. Keep if you don't Chris Reed, and also if he probably doesn't happen to retire or anything like that. Keep if you don't re-sign Chris Reed. Because I think, I'll get to those in a minute, but in my evaluation of 2021 on the offensive line, Braden Smith missed some games. He fell off on the last 2 games of the year, got his behind kicked by Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, got beat by Dwayne Smoot in Jacksonville, got beat by Josh Allen, just got manhandled. Quentin Nelson dealt with injuries, took a little bit of a step back in play. Ryan Kelly, before, we're not going to get into it. I don't wish that on anybody. He did struggle a little bit, against Seattle, LA, struggled a little bit, kind of got back And once he came back from what he went through, I'll take that out of the evaluation. I don't expect anybody to play through that. And then when you look at left tackle, that was Eric Fisher, Julian Davenport started week 1. Mark Glewinsky, I thought, was the more consistent, better offensive lineman as a whole body of work out of everybody in 2021. I think, like Rashad said, and I've been, consistent on it the last couple of weeks. I think you need to move some pieces around on the offensive line after Q's contract hits. You're going to have almost 45% of your cap in the offensive line. You're not winning a Super Bowl like that. That's just not. Dallas has never won it. Philadelphia won it before they handed out some extensions. It's not a recipe for Super Bowls. It's not. You don't need $30 million lined up into center and left guard. They're not the decision makers in a Super Bowl. So Mark Glewinsky, I'll definitely keep if we don't retain Chris Reed.
Well, go ahead. Well,
I mean,
all right, Dustin. Go, Dustin.
All right, Dustin.
Okay,
yes,
go.
Dustin.
The second time was definitely on purpose, but I'll just go ahead and get it done with real quick. I mean, personally, I think I would go in the keep if as well. But my keep if is going to be more unrealistic if he's willing to take non-starting right guard money. If Glewinsky's just wanting to stick around, end his career in Indy, where he kind of had a little bit of a resurgence in his career, I 100% would allow him. He had a really good, steady year last year, but I think Chris Reed played well enough and is going to be at a more retainable rate that I would keep Chris Reed over him. And I think Chris Reed will be back. I do. So the Glewinsky thing, I mean, if he's willing to take non-starter right guard money, and we still have that rotation going on and having that depth at the spot, I'm all for it. But that's a big if for me.
I'm going to let him walk. I love what he did. He was the Iron Man of the offensive line. He was the one that showed up every week, gave a pretty consistent performance. And I remember it was a couple of years ago when everybody was screaming that we replaced Glewinsky. He was the weak link on the offensive line, and he really has elevated his play over the last couple of years. And he ended up being a rock solid piece for us, But I would definitely let him walk due to the emergence of Chris Reed. And even if we was to somehow mysteriously lose Chris Reed, Matt Pryor, I think, would be an awesome guard as well. He's a guy that can slide right into the guard spot. You like him as just 6 offensive linemen. That way he can play either tackle, he can play either guard. And his versatility is what makes him such a big asset. And is why Chris Ballard went out and traded for him. But if we was to lose Glewinsky or Chris Reed, you can easily slide Matt Pryor in at guard, and he would be perfectly fine. You find another guy somewhere to be your swing tackle. Maybe we use Michael's best friend, Julian Davenport, or maybe we call Michael's other best friend on 3-way, Sam Tevy. And one of those guys can be your swing tackle to replace Matt Pryor once you start him at guard.
I'm definitely going to take a swing at him, all right, with a freaking bottle of vodka. That's what I'm going to do. And I will say, we're gonna get into Matt Pryor here in a little bit. Well, actually, let's talk about Matt Pryor now. Walk, keep. I'm keeping him all the way. I'm signing him multi-year contract because I feel like this is another situation with Joe Haeg. You lost him to Tampa Bay. He didn't even get a starting job, but you lost some of that depth. I think this time you don't make that mistake again. Sign him to a multi-year deal, and then let it ride out. Let free agency ride out. Let draft ride out. Whatever happens at left tackle, right guard, whatever happens. And at worst, he's your number 6 guy who can play all 4 out of 5 spots on the offensive line. Hell, maybe he can even play center. Who knows? I've never seen him. He didn't do it at TCU. He played left tackle, right tackle at TCU. So I'm keeping him all the way, multi-year money, and I would even consider him for the starter at left tackle.
I'm going to keep if Michael will not bring up that he's a horned frog every single time he does anything on the field. But
I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
I'd keep Matt Pryor all the way. I thought he went out and showed that he had a lot of talent. I think his biggest con is that he gets beat around the edge sometimes, for sure, just because of how big of a guy he is. If you put him at guard, I think that fixes that almost entirely. He's a hard guy to move because he's massive, and trying to go straight through him, I think, will be a struggle for most guys. So I think Matt Pryor should stay, very flexible kind of guy, and can be a spot starter for you for sure.
He's an absolute keep for me. No attachments on it. I just spoke about him basically when I was talking about Glewinsky. I gave my reasons why I would keep Matt Pryor. So that's just going to be a quick keep for me, for sure.
There you go. Matt Pryor did start a few games at right tackle when Braden Smith had the foot injury, and he did have a really good game week 7 against Eric Armstead. Got a couple of reps in against Nick Bosa. Definitely did. I don't know what Destin's talking about, getting over here, getting beat off the edge. He didn't get beat. He put the handcuffs on them dudes in San Francisco. Over here disrespecting my guy. What's wrong with you? Anyways, guys, that we're gonna keep Matt Pryor all the way. Next up is gonna be Xavier Rhodes, a guy that Destin wasn't too high on coming into the year. Rashad and I were definitely giving him a chance. 2021, I mean, it was up and down. He had a couple of really good games, but more so on the downhill more than the uphill. Obviously, the hamstring came back to bite him. That was hurting him a little bit in Minnesota. I'm all the way. Let walk. 31 years old, hamstring issues. I don't see his career lasting any longer at the cornerback position. Easy for me. Let walk.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him walk as well. You don't want to see a guy fall completely off a cliff before you decide to get rid of him. And I don't think that was him this past season. I don't think he fell off a cliff. He was injured. You know, he did have some bad reps, but for the most part, he was pretty solid. He just wasn't the guy he was the year before in his first year in Indianapolis. And that was obvious to see. And when you get to this age and you start experiencing these injuries, these are the type of things that linger. Your body doesn't recover. You lose a step. And these things you can't afford at that cornerback position. And then with the emergence of Rockets and Isaiah Rodgers, it makes it kind of easier for you to take this kind of hit. You know, you just cut your losses. You let them walk, and you try to find a depth corner or a number one corner in free agency. So that way you kind of replace that experience that you lost when Xavier Rhodes walked out.
Yeah, I'm letting him walk his way out of Indy for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna count this as like a I told you so kind of moment, because I just think the writing was on the wall. Like, I really don't think this is something that like Destin Adams just looked at and saw that no one else saw. Like that's not what this was. It was just, you look at last year and it was going to be near impossible for someone his age in this kind of system to replicate that season. It was going to be near impossible. And that, for me, that was the reason last year that I thought I would have let someone else pay him. It didn't happen. He didn't get that contract. That sucked for him, because I felt like I was really hoping he would get that one more big, massive contract somewhere just to help him out. Massive is a little overstatement, but getting somebody to pay him that money, and it didn't happen for him. I'd let him walk. I think there's another guy that can come in and be that vet that can play the outside or inside at times, and a guy like Casey Hayward that we'll talk about this offseason that has connections to the new defensive coordinator, Gus Bradley. So we'll see what happens, but I think they'll get a vet to come in the room and kind of replace what Xavier Rhodes brings mentally, and I think it'll be an upgrade on the field.
Let's go with a few quick ones here real quick as we're going down the list, guys. Zaire Franklin, George Odom, Taylor Stallworth. Zaire Franklin, I'm keeping all the way. Important voice in the locker room, special teams ace, and he was a captain. Keep George Odom. Keep if you can't find upgrades at depth safety, and Taylor Stallworth, let walk.
I'd say keep all three. I'll be honest. I think Zaire Franklin earned a spot to be in this linebacker room. I think George Odom, even small doses of being able to play the safety position, has done it well. For some reason, we were playing a dude with a mullet over him this last year that I'm not even going to say his name. I'd get him a chance. And I think Stallworth is a really great rotational defensive tackle to have in the interior for you. It just doesn't lead to starting reps, but he doesn't have to do that here. So I would bring all three back as rotational pieces.
Taylor Stallworth had an awesome season. If you look at the amount of quarterback hits and amount of pressures that he got with the snaps that he was presented, he played really, really well.
He had like a 4-week stretch that was incredible.
Yeah, he really did. Like, as being the best pass rusher on this team during that 4-week stretch, So anytime you could get that type of production out of a guy coming from the inside, it's not even an edge guy. You have to consider bringing him back, and it's not going to cost you a lot. As far as Zaire Franklin, you bring him back. It's not going to another guy who's not going to cost you a lot. It's a leader in the locker room, a leader for your special teams unit, and a guy that can come in and play linebacker for you in a pinch whenever you need him to. He's a definitely keep for me. And George Odom is going to be a keep and partially is because the if is if you plan to use him more. If you don't plan to use him more, then let him walk. Let him go see his value in free agency. Maybe he links on with another team that actually believes in him and is actually going to give him snaps on the defensive side of the ball and not just use him as a special teams guy. Because we've seen George Odom come in bad situations and play well. He had a solid stretch this season where he played well. And even when he was playing well, the coach was looking for a ton of reasons to not play the guy still. They still was giving Sendejo and Jaleel a day. I don't understand what it is with George Odom. I don't know. Maybe it's a locker room thing. It's a playbook thing. It's a coverage. I know some guys in some situations, and I don't want to start a rumor, and I'm just going to say this quick so we can move on. I know there's guys that we see produce on the field that doesn't play for their teammates. They make productive plays, but they're doing the wrong assignments. They're not doing what they're asked to do. I know Trey Boston is the guy that's like that, which is why he's always in free agency every year, and people's wondering how, because he always has a lot of interceptions. He's always productive, but it's because he doesn't play for his teammates. He takes risks. He goes where he's not supposed to be. And sometimes that works, but sometimes you also blow coverage and give up touchdowns. I don't know if that's a thing with George Odom. I don't see that when I look at the film. So I'm just wondering why the coach refused to use him. And maybe it's an Eberflus thing. We'll see this year with Gus Bradley. Hopefully he comes back and Gus is able to find a solid, consistent role for this guy.
Ah, yes, the Eberflus days are over. There you go.
Eberflus. That's a good one, Mike. That's a good one.
Hey, that's a good one. Yeah,
you've been working on your material.
All right. Next up is going to be Zach Pascal. I will keep if he is the wide receiver number 4. I'll keep him if he's number 4. Again, I mean, he was playing the number 2 role at times, number 3, just not productive. So I'll keep him if he is the number 4.
It's me doing the gritty. He can gritty on out of the locker room. He gritty on out of Indianapolis, baby. Hey, Zach, I love you, baby. Nah, I'm just messing. I just think this coach, this locker room needs more explosiveness, man. I just think the wide receiver room needs more explosiveness. And if we just steady keep people, how are we gonna add to this wide receiver room? We have to sacrifice something. I know he's a number 1
9
blocker.
Receivers. Keep 9.
Keep 9 receivers.
And we got to have enough room for my man Ashton Dulin, Mike. Mike
Ashton Dulin is going to make the team. He's special teams ace. Gunner.
I'm going to be honest. If I had to pick what the most shocking storyline from this past year for the Colts is, it's that Michael has come around on Ashton Dulin. But my Pascal moment is quick. Mine's a keep if Doolin's not back. I think it's a one or the other for me. Both good run blockers. I think Doolin offers you more as a receiver, to be honest, long term. I think I saw more from Doolin in short doses, separation-wise, than I saw from Zach Pascal all year. Both good run blockers. Doolin's a better special teams unit guy. Bring me Doolin back. Let Pascal walk is what I would do. But if Doolin leaves, I'd bring Pascal back.
Based on athleticism, I think Dulin gets better separation than Zach Pascal. And I think if you get a solid coach in here that can develop him a little bit more, I'm excited to see it. We saw some really good things from Ashton Dulin this season. So,
you haven't heard? We have James Jones coming. You haven't gotten the news?
So all I heard was you need someone to help, and James Jones is Mr. Help.
That doesn't sound like news. That doesn't sound like news. That sounds like, well, let me not say that during the time that
sounds delicious.
It sounds delicious. That's what it sounds like. Okay. Next up is gonna be. Everybody wanted to fight me on this for 3 years, and I came out on top. Mo Alley Cox. Me personally, I say just walk. I would rather sign a tight end. So I would sign 2 tight ends. Find me a couple receiving guys. I could see the argument of, he's a solid blocker, but can't catch a damn piece of leather for some reason. So other than that, I mean, he doesn't use his body well in routes. He doesn't do any of that well other than blocking. So I would let him walk easily. I'm not going to get into a bidding war. I'm not even going to fight with his agent. So
bidding war? You're telling me you think Mo Alley Cox is going to have a bidding war this offseason?
Hey, I will say that I am in this fan base because I'm a Mavericks fan. The Dallas Cowboys fan base is actually a fan of Mo Alley Cox.
Well, here's the thing. I'm keeping Mo Alley Cox. He's not going to cost much. He's an in-house product that you want to keep going with. Really good blocker, and I think Doyle is going to retire when T.Y. hangs it up this offseason as well.
I think it's more of a failure than a product.
You cannot lose your 2 best run-blocking tight ends in a room with Kylan Granson being your only guy left. You just can't. That does not add up or make sense longevity-wise. Should he be tight end 1 next year? No. They're going to bring somebody else in, but you keep Mo Alley Cox.
I'm gonna keep Mo Alley Cox, and I'm only keeping him off the fact of what Dustin just said. Jack Doyle walks out that door. I want us to spend on a tight end, a receiving threat tight end, a Mike Gesicki type of guy, OJ Howard type of guy. I want a receiving threat. So with that, I can't just go into next season with a receiving threat and Kylan Granson and
undersized receiving threat. Kylan Granson's a small tight end. I like him, but he's small.
Exactly. So I can't go into a season without a stud run blocking tight end, without just deciding to do that. And then I go into the season tipping my hand with every formation that I decide to run because I'm putting my big blocking tight end in that can't receive the ball at all. So I have to keep Mo Alley Cox just for the threat of that alone.
So again, go into free agency, sign 2 tight ends.
Are we New England? We're going to sign 2 tight ends every year now?
No, not those tight ends.
And not even use one.
Here's a guy who's I think is equally as good of a run blocker and can give you a little bit more of pass of receiving because he was in Miami. Tua, Jacoby Brissett didn't really get that much playing behind Gesicki, but my guy that I actually went to high school with, former Belton Tiger Durham Smythe, very cheap contract. Come in here and be a run blocker. You'll get more snaps, especially with these 2 tight end sets that Frank Reich likes to use. Come in here, my guy. Okay, you still got me on Snapchat still. Oh, I mean, I don't want to put it all out there, put my business out there on the street. But hey, Durham Smythe coming to Indy, and then we go get Rashad, Mike Gesicki or Dalton Schultz.
Who's next on the list? Who's next for us to talk about?
Wait, okay. Oh wait, no, we were just discussing Mo Alley Cox. Okay.
Oh, I know who's next. Michael. It's the future Chicago Bear, Al-Qadim Muhammad.
Oh yes, Al-Qadim Muhammad.
Who I think I'm gonna speak for everyone in here, and you guys can maybe change it for me if you for some reason shock me. But we're letting that man walk, and we're gonna buy him his ticket to Chicago.
Yes. Let walk.
Hey, but good season. Bother. He had a good season production wise. Don't get me wrong, but
it was solid.
Good season. Yeah.
Enjoy the Chicago Bears.
Please enjoy. All right. Anyway, moving on. We got 2 more guys here for you, and we're gonna go with some pretty interesting ones. Taekwon Lewis. Man, it's been a roller coaster of a career. It's just been a roller coaster. Obviously, had the blown out knee against Tennessee on such a freakish play. Got an interception. I guess it just happens, man. I will keep if you don't find better depth upgrades. I'm fine with letting Taekwon Lewis walk, but if you can find me an Arden Key or a Samson Ibukam, guys like those, I'll take those over a Taekwon Lewis. But if you can't, I'll take Taekwon back. I guess. I mean, he had a good year. He was playing good inside and out. Obviously, he's not going to do that next year coming off the ACL, but I'll keep if you can't find upgrades on the depth pieces.
I would keep him, Dustin, unless you want to say something. Oh, I would keep him. His position versatility, like I spoke about with Matt Pryor earlier, Taekwon provides you the same type of ability. You know, he allows you on early downs to line up outside and set the edge pretty well. And then on passing downs in a hybrid NASCAR package type of situation, he can move inside and give you production from both spots. He was doing that earlier this season. And like you said, one of the biggest plays of his career, where he dropped off in a coverage, which Eberflus like to do so often. He caught an interception and was running it back, was getting ready to take a 17-point lead. He blew his knee out, fumbles the ball. Tennessee gets it. A.J. Brown, monster touchdown, very next play, swung the whole momentum of that game. It was so unfortunate to see him go down like that when he was playing his best ball, some of his best ball of his career. I think you give him a 1 year kind of prove you can stay healthy, prove you're back from the injury. But one thing about it, the injury happened early in the season, so I think he'll be 100% by the time the next season starts. By the time training camp roll around, I think you'll see Taekwon out there running around.
Keep if he is outsnapped by Dio. If him coming back means he gets more snaps than Dio, which they're going to play very similar roles on this defense, then I let him walk. If Dio is above him on the depth chart in every single way, and he outsnaps him in that position, in that role, and he's kind of coming in for Dio when needed, I'd bring him back on a 1 year deal.
Next and final guy is going to be Komoko Toure. Now, this is a guy I have changed my stance on a little bit recently. Before, I was all for just letting him walk. But again, going through the evaluation, seeing how he played, I think you take a 1 year flyer on a speed guy like Komoko Toure. You definitely take a 1 year because it's one of those situations where you don't want to, open the front door for him and then he goes excels somewhere else and has a fully healthy season. You don't want that to happen. Bring him back on a 1 year because that speed, I value that speed more than, I guess you could say, maybe Taekwon's versatility. That speed is going to be important for the Colts. So definitely bring Komoko back.
I am going to say keep. I'm going to go a different realm, though. I want to see a multi-year contract for him because I think when I saw the production on the limited amount of snaps this past year, I think now would be the perfect time to sign him to a 3-year deal, in my opinion. Get the good value. You might need pay him a little bit more than what you'd pay him on a 1 year deal. But if let's say you get him on a 1 year deal, and when he gets full force as the speed rusher this year, he puts up in that 8 to 10 sack realm because he goes up a full healthy, isn't being outsnapped by Al-Quadin Muhammad for whatever reason. I just feel like right now would be the best option to get him at a longer term deal, but I would keep him either way.
Dustin, I'm curious to see how much would you spend on a free agent end? Do you still want to pass rusher in free agency, even if you're inking Komoko Toure to a multi-year deal, having Dio and having Kwity Paye? It just seems like it's kind of crowded.
So, I mean, that'd be 3 guys for sure. And then the thing with Dio is he's going to get moved around a little bit. The Leo position opens up a little bit of flexibility with Kwity most likely going to be doing the Leo position primarily. They might bring in a guy they want there more, and then Kwity goes back to on the line with his hand in the turf. So we'll see what it means. I mean, I think you can do both because I just think Toure coming back, even if you sign him on a very good value 3-year deal, he's here for depth for multiple years. And if you do that, you're letting guys like Ben walk, who I think is walking either way. You're letting guys like Taekwon Lewis walk probably in that situation. But I just think getting the multi-year deal out of him just makes a lot of sense right now value-wise.
Mm-hmm. Understandable. Yeah, try to capture a guy, not at its lowest point, but right before. It's always good to sign a guy right before he erupts, and has that big year, and then you have to pay the big price. I'm keeping Komoko just because of sheer potential. I know we've been saying that for the last 4 years, with the injuries that he suffered, but I think he's right on the cusp. I really do. I think he's right on the cusp. He's flashed. We always talk about it. I'm not even about to get into a whole spiel because I'm tired of talking about it. I just think if he stays healthy, it happens. No excuses. no preconceived, nothing else extra. He's on the cusp. If he stays healthy, it'll happen. 8 to 10, I think is easily reachable for him.
All right, guys, that is the rundown of our free agents. Definitely a lot of what ifs. There's definitely some interesting conversations, but you saw it all right here on the Blue Stable podcast, guys. Pretty soon, we're going to start giving you some draft content. That way, I'm going to start my draft coverage late. And again, I'm going to run laps around Destin like I did last year. It is going to be so easy. It's going to be so fresh. It's going to be like we're back in April last year. It's going to be fun. And real quick before we leave, Destin, how was that? How was the top of the Zach Wilson hill for you this past season? How was that? Here, irony, rain, ominous weather.
He looked like a rookie quarterback.
He was a rookie quarterback?
He looked like a rookie quarterback this last year for sure.
Dang. He definitely looked like a guy that I told you he was. So let's not get into this, guys.
Scolding hot takes from Mike.
Not really hot take. Give me 2 more seasons of evaluation, then let's revisit this thing, guys. He is Rashad McGinnis. He is Destin Adams. I am Michael Pevia. This is the official Colts podcast of Fansided, guys. If you're not already, subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell. That way you are notified anytime that we drop content for you guys. Make sure you are signed up for email notifications on the Blue Stable website. That way you're notified for all articles. And once again, we are the Blue Stable podcast. Enjoy next week's Combine week. The last week that it will be in Indy before it comes to Arlington. That way it's a year-to-year thing to get down there for me. Anyways, guys, see you later.